per 9000's game room.
Bonanza Bros is a game which I find a little hard to explain, I guess. I've seen it described as a shooting platform game, but I don't think that really does it justice. As I mentioned when reviewing Game Ground, both this and that were originally on the Sega System 24 arcade hardware, before making their way into the home. The game was ported to the Sega Megadrive, aka the Sega Genesis, the Master System, the TurboGrafx CD, the ZX Spectrum, the Amstrad CPC, the Commodore 64, the Amiga, the Sharp X68000 and the Atari ST, with minor graphical differences, but essentially it was the same game. Obviously it's the Mega Drive version I'll be talking about here. So in Bonanza Bros you take on either the role of Robbo or Mobbo. They're referred to as Mike and Spike in some PAL versions. They were apparently modelled after Jake and Elwood, the Blues Brothers. This does seem to make sense given that there is a thin tall one and a short round one, and given their, shall we say, issues with the law. You see, Robbo and Mobbo are expert thieves, and the objective of the game is for the player or players to make their way through the various levels, which include a bank, a casino and an art gallery amongst others, and steal the loot and get away with it by making it to a blimp which is on the roof. Sure, you can shoot, but you can also try to be stealthy. I'm not going to say that this game was the first of its kind. Both the plot and the gameplay are very similar to an older title on the Atari 2600 called Keystone Capers. But I feel that Bonanza Bros just hit all of the right notes in the right ways. It was a particularly good game, mostly due to the atmosphere it creates with its look and feel. I find this game particularly enjoyable in two-player mode, where you play cooperatively at the same time. I also think this game is massively helped by its sense of humour. There's a slight regional difference when it comes to the plot, which I feel I should mention. This is that in the Japanese version, the player characters are simply thieves attempting to steal valuable treasure for their own personal gain whilst avoiding the law. In other regions, they are instead referred to as being merely experts, who are recruited by the police chief to test security facilities. It's kind of funny really how back then there seemed to be such regard for whether the player could really play what is essentially a villain or not, when nowadays you can easily pick up games in any region where you're a criminal. For example, the Grand Theft Auto games. So as Robbo or Mobbo, you walk around the various levels using the limited skills you have and your wits to try and get the goods and get away with it. You can jump, you can shoot, and you can move into the background, hiding behind columns or furnitures. You can't actually kill guards, you can only stun them for a few seconds to get away from them, either by shooting them or by slamming a door open onto them. The game's very simplistic, but that works for it. It's quick to pick up and play, and always good for a quick burst of fun, especially in two-player mode. The graphics are fairly basic, but I do think that they are full of character. You combine this with decent sound effects and some cheeky sounding music, and I think it really helps the game's atmosphere. I also think that this game deserves some points for being something a little bit original back in the day. This was a fairly popular game, but it never got a proper sequel. Sure, there were a few spin-off games which don't follow the gameplay style of this, and are instead puzzle games, and the characters of Robbo and Mobbo were included as playable characters in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, as well as getting a cameo in the Race of Ages track in the Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed, showing that the characters have not been completely forgotten. I always fall back on saying that gameplay is king, and to be honest I think that this is where Bonanza Bros stands out. It has great pick up and play gameplay. The game is a little short in my honest opinion though, and I don't think it's something that you would want to replay too many times. If I had to give this game a score, I think I'd give it a well deserved 7 out of 10. Yes, it's good and I'd love to see more of it, but it also kind of needs a little something more to really be a top contender. If you want this game, then a loose Mega Drive cart seems to go for the £10 to £15 region, with box copies being roughly twice this. It was included in the Sega Mega Drive Genesis collection for the PlayStation 2 and PSP, and in Sega's Ultimate Mega Drive collection for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, as well as making its way onto Steam and apparently onto some models of mobile phone. Now I want to go off on a slight tangent and mention a game I played recently which I feel has an element of Bonanza Bros in it, and that game would be Not a Hero. It shares a degree of its graphical style with Bonanza Bros, and it also has a lot of humour and very simple but tight gameplay. It differs from Bonanza Bros in the fact that it throws in a darker type of humour, bad language and mega violence. It's like Bonanza Bros meets Hotline Miami, and while I very highly recommend it, it's not one to show your kids. That's why I'd like a new Bonanza Bros, and why I think it should have been the start of a series. As long as there are new machines and new kids getting into gaming, then we could definitely do with more of this kind of cooperative fun thing. Okay, that's Kerr9000 signing off, saying keep on gaming.